Sometimes it pays if you can do something no one else can. While newcomers throughout Smash's history have been chosen for a variety of reasons, a recurring one, especially for first-party picks, is getting the nod because they had some unique angle. Whether a key trait no one else is capable of, a part of their identity that's rare elsewhere and easy to build around, or an unusual take on an archetype, the more unique someone is, the easier time they have standing out in Smash. And yet, after all this time, there are so many ideas the series has hardly tapped into, or hasn't at all. The scarce few Magic users so far have spurred fans to ask for more of them when the option is there. While the roster's many sword fighters have a variety of fighting styles, the sheer number of them have led to people asking for other types of weapons too. And despite all the fire, lightning, ice, dark, light, water, and plant-based movesets we've seen, Smash still hasn't brought in a fighter with earth elemental attacks. But sometimes a character comes along who offers something even more unusual and very interesting. This is Challenger Approaching, where we take a character who isn't playable in Smash yet and go deep into detail on what they could be like if they got in for real. Our challenger this time is built entirely around such an ability, but with one form long out of the spotlight and the other's window of opportunity closing fast. Is there still a chance for them to make it? Zoroark. Zoroark is a particularly famous fox-like Pokémon from the series' 5th generation. The species sports a jet black coat with a striking dark red mane and claws, a color scheme befitting the dark type. And while many people play up how a lot of dark moves focus on underhanded tactics, this line uses the actual element of darkness to attack. But they're most known for their power of illusion, distorting their surroundings with false images to hide their dwelling places, misdirect potential threats, and keep themselves and their families safe from harm, and disguise themselves as a teammate in battle to get the drop on opponents. But as we learned recently, they aren't alone. Another form of Zoroark lived in Sinnoh's northern lands in the not-too-distant past. Local legends say that a population slain by human carelessness was reincarnated as vengeful souls linked to the ghostly and otherworldly. Their fur changed to a pale white and gray stained a deep scarlet, in part, it's said, from their own wounds, and their illusions took on new, more wrathful forms, actively seeking out and terrifying any who dared stray too close. Though different in appearance and lore, these two subspecies have similar builds and core abilities, close enough that they could function in Smash as alternates of each other. Zoroark and Prevo Zorua have a slow burn of a history. Positioned to be Gen 5's answer to Lucario, their massive build-up leading into Black and White set them up to enthrall fans the world over. But the sheer difficulty in obtaining them, only available through optional side quests that required trading over specific promomons from late in Gen 4, gave them a lukewarm start. Still popular, sure, but not on the level of their predecessor. But as the series has gone on, they've made up for lost time. Increasingly better availability in later generations gave more trainers a chance to see what all the fuss was about. The line was available almost right away in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and was the best answer to not getting wiped by Ultra Necrozma. When the lead up to Legends teased them getting regional variants, fans got hyped, and upon their official reveal, they were celebrated. Normally, this combo of unique abilities, prominence in their home series, and a whole lot of fan support would be a perfect combination for a Smash invite. But for one key thing: timing. OG Zoroark was considered a likely choice for a Gen 5 newcomer, but Gen 6 arrived just in time to get a spot instead. Hiusian Zoroark has the line back in the spotlight, but Gen 8 didn't get a newcomer either. Legends didn't debut until after Ultimate wrapped up DLC, and with Gen 9 just a few months away, the odds aren't in their favor. This character's best chance now relies on two things happening: the next Smash game having room for 2 Pokémon newcomers, since one will definitely be from the newest generation, that's a given, and the devs deciding to use that second invite to double back for someone from a previous generation who missed out originally. I won't lie, it's not a good situation to be in. Or is it what it seems? This concept here, though, no mere illusion. Let's see what Zoroark could be like in Smash. As previously mentioned, we're including both the common and Hiusian forms. Their stats and abilities are close enough that they can work as one fighter with 2 sets of costumes, just like Olimar and Alf. Wouldn't even require altering their base designs, though their models would still get some texture touch-ups to bring them in line with Smash's art style. Actually, since Scarlet and Violet seem to be on it already, it might require even fewer changes. Getting their animations to line up would be the tough part. Since they're sharing a moveset, their animations in combat need to be identical to keep their hurt boxes consistent. For example, we could base the default standing animations off the common form stance from the games, pulling the Hiusian form up from its usual slouch to match it. It's for the best, keeps the latter's mane from getting in the way and making it harder to see which animations are happening. This does risk homogenizing the two forms and their distinct personalities, but there are still ways to let those shine through. Slightly different voice lines, with Hiusian sounding raspier and angrier, slightly different victory animations since those are outside of combat, and the visuals on their attacks would change to match their respective typings. Regular Zoroark could have black and dark red motion trails and borrow the visuals on hit from Joker's Eha, while Hiusian Zoroark could use 2 shades of dark purple and use Smash's regular darkness effects like with Ganondorf or Mewtwo. For alternate palettes, I think it's best we keep each form visually distinct. So common form's alt should all be dark, Hiusian's alt should all be light and pale. But working within these boundaries gives us interesting options nonetheless. The shiny versions are a thing, though perhaps one form could borrow Zoroark's shiny palette instead for more variety. Could also pull from other canid Pokemon or other mons with strong emphasis on dark or light colors. Maybe even something based on different breeds of real-life foxes if they needed one more. Alright, now for Zoroark's attributes and stats. Despite having slightly different totals in their home series, both forms are identical here. First, we want a fighting style that best fits the species' lore and abilities. We know they're swift, deceptive, and use illusions to avoid being harmed. So, let's reflect that as best we can. Hit and Run fits the line's self-protective instincts to a T, using evasiveness and misdirection to keep opponents on their back foot, getting aggressive only when they spot an opening. Zip in, try to land a hit or two, and if it doesn't work, bail and reset to a neutral state. They're also less vulnerable than most when at a disadvantage, but their advantage state's a bit underwhelming unless you make some big reads to keep it going. But they do have the tools to make those reads, because this moveset backs up its evasiveness with an extra focus on mix-ups and mind games. The illusion powers worked into the moveset encourage tricking opponents whenever possible, rewarding you for being crafty and unpredictable. More on that later. For exact stats, this concept sizes Zoroark up a little like Smash does with most playable Pokemon, going from 5'3" on average to about a foot taller. It's not Alpha Zoroark size, but it's still on the bigger end, which is a problem when they're also very light. While both forms are actually about as heavy as a full-grown person in canon, they have paper defenses, and I opted to use the latter for this concept for balance purposes. Weight in the bottom 1/6 of the roster means they cannot afford to take too much damage. You'd want to use movement and careful attacks to minimize direct hits. The good news is, Zoroark's mobility stats are very good at that. Everything here is in the upper third of the cast at bare minimum, with run and fall speed in the top 20. Inspired by the line's triple-digit base speed in the games, it lets them cover distance quickly and pull off feints and movement mix-ups with ease. Being a fast faller does have downsides, like being easier to combo most of the time, and being on the tall side just makes it worse. Falling fast also means having to act more quickly to recover, but that doesn't stop this fast faller from having very good recovery anyway, if you're not being pressured. On offense, Zoroark hits pretty hard, with great damage output, above average combo prowess, and nice knockout power overall, combining some strong yet impractical stuff with more consistent finishers of above average strength. However, these attacks are actually not very fast. Iffy frame data is a common weakness on characters with deception-heavy playstyles in other fighting games, and I thought it made sense here too. It also dovetails nicely with the playstyle we're aiming for. Since your attacks are too committal to rush people down with, you'd want to avoid straight fights when possible and pick your openings wisely. Now for Zoroark's moveset. Let's put those illusion powers to use. Not just yet, though. First, we should set a baseline with some tamer stuff. Starting with a jab combo that consists of a swipe forward using the claw facing the camera, then a swipe with the other claw, then a rapid flurry of slashes. Boasting decent startup for a non-weapon jab, the first 2 hits have meh range, but the rapid part is actually pretty big for what it is. Damage is solid, but nothing special. Zoroark's forward tilt has them lean forward and perform a diagonally downward claw slash. A fallback move if you have to go toe-to-toe with someone. It's surprisingly decent, though kinda slow. The visuals from the slash actually linger for a few frames afterward and function as a late hit. How's that for visual trickery? Zoroark's up tilt has him swing one arm in an arc above, starting at roughly the 3 o'clock position ahead and ending at 10 o'clock. It's a solid anti-air with surprisingly good coverage. It doesn't combo into anything, but it's good at setting up juggle opportunities. Changing things up is a quick short-range swipe at ground level for Zoroark's down tilt. It doesn't have much reach or damage, but it does have a chance to make people trip when it hits, which opens up combos, especially with moves like Zoroark's dash attack. Inspired by a move from the trading card game, if you can believe that, they shroud themselves in darkness, what kind depends on which form you're playing as, and lunge forward. Far-reaching and surprisingly fast, it's a really good landing trap and tech chase move. It doesn't KO until late, but it sets up advantage states with ease. Alright, basic stuff over. Here's where things get interesting. Zoroark's forward smash uses their illusion powers to form the top half of a shadowy, double-sized version of themselves behind them that winds up and delivers a powerful slash forward. It may not be real, but the energy forming it can still be channeled into an attack. Strong and disjointed but sluggish to come out, think of it like a more extreme forward tilt. The illusion itself has no hurt box, if that wasn't obvious. Zoroark's up smash creates the same illusory giant top half thing, this time facing up with arms outstretched. The phantom's eyes and mouth suddenly glow a bright magenta, and it detonates with an explosion of dark energy. Huge, powerful, but very slow, it works best for hard reads or catching landings when you tricked someone into wasting their resources while landing or got them to commit to something laggy. Then Zoroark's down smash does something different, having them split in two and perform short dashes to the left and right. It's Zoroark's only not slow smash attack, with moderate power and a lengthy end lag as the two re-merge. Well, not really. They're actually both illusions, which means this move is also disjointed. The real Zoroark never moves at all, hiding between them while invisible, which means any attacks that can reach over the fakes can still hit mid-animation and cut it short. Two sets of moves accounted for. How about aerials next? Zoroark's neutral air is an original move that conjures a circle of dark energy that briefly distorts the surrounding air. In practice, it's kinda like Sephiroth's air with more character-specific visuals. Startup is 2 frames faster than Seph's, so it's usable out of shield but not the fastest at it, and its base knockback is too high to combo off of, purely for defense and coverage. Zoroark's forward air is a 2-hit move where they slash diagonally with one claw, then the other. Pull from the TCG like the dash attack was, it's a self-contained combo with good reach that sends people forward on hit. Landing in between hits can set up combos, but it's very precise and telegraphed. Hey, something based on a canon move. Zoroark's back air has them throw one arm back and generate a blast of darkness centered on their open palm. A go-to finisher with power that offsets its mediocre startup, it has a sweet spot on the darkness itself and sour spots above and below where the darkness pulses outward slightly. Here's a fun one. Zoroark's up air has them stare upward and project an illusion of a monstrous visage. With a mostly disjointed circular hitbox above, not unlike Ivysaur's up air, this scary face is backed by enough actual energy to make it an unwieldy but potent combo starter when landed with, and a kill move eventually. The only thing keeping it in check is its lengthy animation and landing lag. Lastly, Zoroark's down air pulls from the TCG again, bringing both arms up above their head and swinging down with a double-fisted pound. It's a spike of moderate strength, like you probably guessed, with slightly faster startup but slightly worse end lag than usual. Zoroark's grab game is a little weird. For grab animations, they reach forward while magenta-colored energy in the shape of a larger clawed hand extends from their arm to reach further than they'd be able to naturally. It's a disjointed grab like Greninja's and Zelda's, slower than usual but with much more range. Manage to grab someone, and Zoroark's pummel has them flash their eyes briefly, causing a wisp of dark energy to scour their victim. Bet you didn't expect Lear to show up here. Meanwhile, Zoroark's forward throw has them gather darkness into their free hand and thrust it forward into the opponent, another TCG move and their highest damaging throw. Their back throw has another Zoroark suddenly appear behind the opponent and charge into them as the original vanishes, with enough force to be an effective kill throw. Wait, how long has the one holding them just been an illusion? Zoroark's up throw is simpler, tossing them upward with one arm aided by dark energy for nothing more than positioning. But their down throw pulls the same trick again, with the real one appearing above the opponent this time and diving down onto them. This one deals double-digit damage and combos into stuff for a little while. Let's wrap things up with a few taunts. Some possibilities include one where Zoroark lets out a howl that echoes ominously through the air, one where they quickly run their claws over each other to resharpen them, which doesn't actually do anything other than look cool, and one where they laugh to themselves like Zoroark is shown doing all the time. Some things you just never fully grow out of. Alright, Zoroark specials are crucial to the kit and a sight to behold. Whatever you do, don't blink. First up at neutral, we want something that plays into the themes we've already established. What better way to do that than the line's signature moves? Night Daze is a high-powered dark attack exclusive to standard Zoroark, and Lunala as of Gen 7, but who's counting? Bitter Malice is a ghost equivalent exclusive to the Hiusian form. While different mechanically, we can get their animations close enough to work as counterparts of each other. On use, Zoroark raises their arms high and gathers dark energy around them, tinted magenta for the common form and purple for Hiusian, charging the move for as long as you hold the button down. Once fully charged, or if you let go early, they slam their arms down, unleashing a rapidly expanding dark explosion that hits on all sides. But if you press in any direction during the charge before you let it go, the same animation plays out without a hitbox? It's a false illusion with less end lag. And afterward you have a window of 2.5 seconds to move around and press B again to use the real version. Identical in all ways except visually, Night Daze and Bitter Malice are an area of effect attack with a built-in fake out for tripping up opponents who jump the gun with their defensive options. Get them to waste a dodge or double jump avoiding the illusion, and they'll have a much harder time avoiding the real deal. It's not foolproof though. While you can move after using the fake version, you're limited to walking and one jump. You can't shield or dodge until you let it go, and the real attack has more end lag if done after a fake one than if it's done on its own. The attack itself is about the size of an exploding bomb, dealing diagonal knockback that kills off the top eventually, and is weaker and slightly smaller if done in midair. Next up, Zoroark's side special. We just got a move that messes with opponents' eyes, but now they can't trust their ears either. Available to both forms of Zoroark, though the common form needs a TM, Snarl deals damage and debuffs the non-physical attack power of all enemies in range. We'll be adapting its disruptive abilities a little differently. On use, Zoroark crosses their arms and creates an illusory copy of themselves that drifts forward at moderately fast speed. Press the button again, and the original lets out a loud that the illusion mimics with an actual damaging sound wave immediately ahead. But if you press in the opposite direction while the illusion is moving, the real Zoroark cries out as usual while the illusion vanishes, only to reappear a moment later a dash-and-a-half length further ahead and let out a delayed sound wave in the opposite direction that is bigger, stronger, multi-hit, and timed perfectly to catch the end lag of someone trying to dodge the normal version. Snarl gives the moveset a way to harass campier opponents from long range and force them to deal with you directly, while having a built-in mind game itself for more trickery. Who knew throwing your voice could be so useful? The sound wave is not a projectile, so reflectors don't work on it. The illusion falls apart if it takes any damage before its attack comes out, and the real Zoroark is stuck in place until the move finishes. Crazy, huh? Our next special isn't as geared toward gotcha moments, but it's still got some mix-ups to help do its job. Night Slash and Shadow Claw are counterpart Dark and Ghost type moves learned by their respective forms. While they're most known for their high crit rates in the games, we're turning the animations into a recovery move. On use, Zoroark gathers energy on the spot with the option to hold and charge the move. Let go, and they zip forward a dash length up to 3 times in any cardinal or diagonal direction, while leaving an illusory after image behind in the exact same pose they took before each dash, performing a claw slash in a wide arc at the end of each. And with the ability to choose the direction of each dash independently of each other, it's very flexible, as long as you get to charge it all the way. Night Slash and Shadow Claw are a complex recovery move that prioritizes self-protection, able to make it back to stage from far away if fully charged. It even has some combat utility. You can link each hit together if you keep each dash at close enough angles to each other. However, if you aren't able to charge it, the total distance falls off significantly. The first dash does go further than the other two, but if it's all you can muster, it's pretty mediocre distance-wise on a fighter who's very light and often needs that distance. But if your mix-ups are on point, edgeguard attempts won't even get close enough to stop you from getting the full thing. Alright, what's left? Down specials are often a moveset's wild card, so what does an already tricky character whip out here? Okay, that's interesting. A high-powered physical dark move, Foul Play, uses the target's attack stat to damage them. So how do we transfer that into Smash? On use, Zoroark takes a defensive stance for a moment and waits for an enemy attack. If they're touched by anything that isn't a projectile, they tank the hit, taking no damage or knockback, and smirk as they form a magenta-colored aura to indicate the move is activated. At any point after this, pressing down and B again conjures an illusion on the spot that takes the form of the opponent who hit you and immediately performs a powered-up version of the attack you were struck with. The illusory versions have more startup than the original since you have to create the illusion first, but since you're not the one performing the attack, you have the same short end lag no matter what, allowing you to be somewhere else nearby with an attack of your own or even combo off it. Foul Play is a unique counter that lets you turn an enemy's own attack against them while opening up options to use it in ways the original owner cannot. Throw it out as a simple punish that hits harder than the original would've, place it strategically for one-off option coverage, or go for the disrespect by using their own move as a kill confirm. That said, the counter fails completely against projectiles or items. You lose the store attack if you lose a stock, and while you can trigger it with an ally's move if friendly fire is on, your illusion will be weaker than the original instead of stronger and have increased end lag that prevents follow-ups. All that remains is Zoroark's final smash. How do we end this in style? How about a culmination of the power of illusion? Strengthened by the smash ball, Zoroark lets out a howl and disappears? Just as everyone gets a chance to wonder what happened, a mass of dark energy starts to gather behind the stage. Which color it is depends on which form you're using, while revealing two sinister, glowing eyes. Suddenly, illusory Zoroarks appear from all corners of view, dashing toward the center one at a time in rapid succession, damaging anyone in the way and knocking them toward the apparition as it grows in size and takes on a familiar yet titanic form. With its full power gathered, the fell illusion glows ominously, gazes skyward, and lets out a piercing howl as a shockwave of darkness blows everyone in range away. The real Zoroark returns to the stage, laughs a little, and the battle resumes. This is what Zoroark could be in Smash. Masters of illusion from present and past who fight by manipulating darkness, ghostly shadows, and the very perception of the world around them. Menacing though their powers might be, their ultimate goal is a noble one: to ensure they and their loved ones survive. Loaded with tricks and mix-ups, Zoroark's moveset is tailor-made for deception and rewards players greatly when they play mind games with their opponents. Great mobility in all aspects lets them weave in and out of the fray as needed with little trouble, and makes it hard to keep them out or pin them down for long. And their moveset boasts high damage output and the potential for early knockouts if the player's ability to set things up and read enemy actions is on point. However, being pretty big, very light, and easily comboed makes for an unforgiving fighter who cannot afford to mess up often. Their high mobility does not carry over to their attacks, with surprisingly mediocre frame data that puts them at a disadvantage when fighting head-on, and the strongest parts of the moveset fall apart if the player fails to stay one step ahead of their opponents. This is a fighter who requires a clear head and calm mind to be at their best. This concept really gave me a chance to get creative. Building a moveset around illusions and deception without it winding up utterly infuriating and demoralizing to play against is no easy task, and I hope I pulled it off. I am not so prideful to think this could slot perfectly into Smash as is. It'd need further refining and balancing to get it feeling just right. I actually had an alternate setup for the specials at first. Plan A had Night Slash and Shadow Claw on the side special where you could disappear and reappear a distance ahead and attack in front or behind you. But that left me racking my brain for a good up special, and once I got the idea for Snarl, I realized the former would work as an up special instead, and the rest is history. And yes, I know none of the attacks have them disguise as other Pokémon and copy their attacks. I've seen a lot of fan concepts do that, and I've never been a fan of how transformation-y it feels when this line doesn't actually turn into the mons they create illusions of. Even in-game, their moveset stays the same when their illusions are up. I thought it best to stick with the character's core abilities and see what I could do with that. It's a shame, really. A character this popular with this interesting of a niche is this close to getting screwed by timing twice. You know, situations like this make me wish there was a Smash minor league spin-off, where characters who miss their chance or keep falling short of the main roster could still get to do their thing. Zoroark would unironically fit a game like that perfectly. Topic for another day, maybe. Special thanks to these people here for helping make this video happen. Thanks to my patrons as well for their continued support. And I promise that gratitude is no illusion. And while normally I'd put a poll here, I'm gonna try something different for specifically next episode. More news on that to come. So, until next time, remember, this is all just a figment of your imagination. Or is it?